Hey, 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 it's Rebecca, and you're listening to Resilient by Design. Today, I'm going to talk about the power of finding your niche, finding what it is that makes you unique and different to help you stand out in the crowd. I know that's something that, I don't know, I feel like a lot of business coaches talk about this idea, like the niches are in the riches, like find out what your niche is. And for the longest time, I really struggled with this, I'll be honest, because I was like, well, I don't want to just pigeonhole myself into one type of client. But then I realized that it's actually, I'm thinking about it backwards. And it doesn't have to be about the client. Not like my niche is retired, sorry, I just banged my knee. Retired professional lawyers, who are downsizing to a condo. Yes, that is one way to have a niche. But I actually think, I'm going to chew my radish. I actually think that you can have a niche that is a reflection of who you are. And I'm going to explain in this episode. So stay with me.
All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business.
Are you looking to expand your network, gain momentum in your business, and be around your tribe of designers or decorators or architects? If you answered yes, then go check out the Collective Workspace. They offer a range of private office suites, flex workspaces, boardroom rentals, and many more perks, along with a trade-only design resource library. Oh, and did I mention a boutique gym? Their flagship space is located in the heart of Toronto. I am here right now in the Design District, with a second location opening up this fall in Mississauga. Go check them out at thecollectiveto.com or go on Instagram at The Collective Workspace, your tour, or take advantage of their free 3-day pass. All right. So how do you determine what it is that is your area of expertise that makes you unique? Yes, you do your craft, right? You're a stager or you're a designer, or you're a decorator. But I mean, there's a lot of us out there, right? And a lot of us are offering similar services. A lot of us are decorating full rooms or offering design packages or charging $150 an hour or whatever it may be. So how do you attract people to you that are the right fit, that kind of narrows down the type of person that you're working with? And I mean, I don't know what the Webster definition is for niche, but my definition is that it is narrowing down of your service area. And yes, you can be specific when it comes to that, and you could focus on demographics. And I do think that is super duper helpful. But I also think you can do it in the reverse. And now I don't know if this is something that other people teach, or if I'm literally the first person to look at it in this way. And maybe I'm wrong, but hey, it seems to have worked for me. So I'm going to share with you what I see is kind of finding this sweet spot for you, which is your niche. So I think more than ever in this world where we're so saturated and inundated with access to so many designers, to so many services, it's not like it used to be where you really only had word of mouth, right? Unless, a big firm might advertise on TV or in a magazine, but you didn't have access. As a regular human looking to hire a designer, you didn't have access to all these options. And so now it can be probably, I would imagine, a little bit confusing, right? You follow all these designers on Instagram. Well, I like her aesthetic. I like this. Like, how do you decide? So I think now more than ever, you need to find what makes you unique as the business owner and put it out into the world. And I'm not saying for you to let your freak flag fly and go crazy with like your inner guts of who you are. But I mean, if that's who you are, go for it. But I do think it's important to identify all the things that make you unique for your own messaging, especially when it comes to social media, websites, PDFs, documents you send to your clients. I'll tell you that the first time I started to think about this was when I did a course. I think it was a Jenna Kutcher course. She talks about her big five. And this is something that I really go into depth about in Momentum, which is my marketing course. And we really help you identify what those sort of core differentiators are, what those unique big five areas are that help to define you as a service provider. But essentially the idea is that, it's important to have more than just one area of focus when you're talking about your services. So yes, design. But what are the other four things that will reach to your ideal client and make you stand out in the crowd? A memorable business is often built on a story, right? Or it's built on a personal connection that the customer is going to have with you and your company. And it doesn't have to be, even if you're not the face of your company, I still think this is really important. And, you could have a touch point with someone through a networking event, or maybe they felt they were given like genuine value. They really liked you as a person. It could be a mutual acquaintance or a shared interest. But whatever way that they connect with you, there's got to be that connection that takes them to a deeper level to give them that trust to then want to reach out and hire you. It's got to be more than just pretty images and words in an Instagram feed. Because the people who say they get all their work from Instagram, guaranteed they're doing a heck of a lot more than just posting pretty pictures of spaces and saying, we like to decorate dining rooms because blah, 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 right? There's got to be meat and potatoes. That's what I like to say. It's like, what's the substance? So this is a way that I think that you can differentiate yourself. And the reason I bring up Jenna Kutcher is that she was initially a wedding photographer, and she found a way to differentiate her wedding photography business when she didn't want to compete solely on price, right? She wanted to find a way to be different than the others. If everyone's charging the same price for their service, then what makes you different? And she was in a small town, and I think in Wisconsin, I want to say. And price shopping, is a thing. And so what she realized is that by having a personal connection with people, even through social media, and showing her brides what type of person she was going to be on their wedding day, she gave them a greater insight into what it would be like to work with her, more than just the pretty pictures. What she talks about is how it helped to grow her following on social media, which, to be honest, then pivoted into something completely different. She now does online courses for creatives. She doesn't even do wedding photography anymore. But she was able to give the prospective client a real insight into who she was or who her team was, and to let those people know, like, hey, this is who I am and this is who you're going to work with. Think about my five, and they have changed over the years. I will tell you, they have shifted. I do always try to stay professional, even though I know I share a lot of myself on Instagram. But I think it's finding the sweet spot. So it's the sweet spot where your personal attributes, your likes, overlap with what your ideal client is drawn to. And that's what I think is really, really important. How do you know what your clients are into? You don't know until you ask them. But a good place to start is showing them who you are. So here's an example. You could pick 5 things, and they could be the 5 things that I want to talk about on Instagram to try and attract people who like the same things that I like would be, okay, maybe it's designing with color. Then it's maybe sustainability. It's being a parent to boys in hockey. It's traveling to Cabo always for vacation. And maybe it's purses. I don't know. I made these 5 up. They're clearly not my 5, but if you pick 5 areas, and those were a lot of personal ones, and I don't necessarily say you have to share so many personal ones, but I do think that sharing something, at least one of your 5 can be personal. It's going to show the potential client who you are and what it's like to work with you. And that could look like anything. That could look like you talking about the different things in stories. That could look like you posting in your Instagram feed. Maybe every day of the week you focus on a different one, or maybe that's too much because you want more design stuff. So maybe like every week you post another thing, like you post all design and like one post is one of the other big 5. You've got to figure out what works for you. But I think that when you start putting it out there, who you are, for example, one of my pillars of my 5 is sustainability. And so, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes I talk about it more than others. I'll be honest with you. I get kind of like on a train where I'm like really into talking about it. Something's kind of like triggered me and I just want to share. And so we do a lot more posts about it. And then I kind of fall off because there's something else going on in my life. But in general, and I try to add it into my bio, right? In general, I try to every week talk about sustainability in some way, shape, or form. As a result, I'm starting to see just now, and it takes time, but just now I'm starting to see people reach out to me who are like, hey, we love how you repurposed that dresser, or we love that you used that antique. We have family heirlooms that we want to use, and we don't see a lot of designers working with family heirlooms. That is the way of finding that is the way that you can find a type of niche, in my opinion. And this is confusing and convoluted. I'm very sorry, but this is sort of how I see it. Because the thing is, I never really wanted to pigeonhole and just have one client. Like, I don't want to just design for bachelors, for example, because not all bachelors are even the same, right? Like, there's so many elements that need to be there. So for me, my big struggle was I had young professional lawyer, doctor couples who had kids that would hire us, and they were really great. Our ideal client, like they valued our service. They had the money to spend. And then there was the other end of the spectrum where I had other ideal clients that were empty nesters, either downsizing or just wanting to redecorate because they were tired of their decor. And so there were 2 different ideal clients, if you will. And I struggled with I felt like I had to pick one, right? To niche down. And then it came to me in a dream. No, not really, but it came to me slowly over time. And I realized I don't have to pick one demographic. What are the things that connect between these 2 different demographics? That's not age or income, or location or whatever it might be. What are those through lines? And I realized the connector was me. I am the one attracting these people, and they are ideal clients, and they may not have the same demographics. And yes, I see the value of picking one demographic and going to the country club and like making all those friends, or at the pool club, right? And everybody and everyone sharing you around between their friends. And like, that's awesome too. But if that's not your case and you don't want to go down that path, I think if you can focus in on who you are, what your design firm offers, you will attract that ideal client, regardless of age, regardless of location, or what have you. And so really finding out what are the things that make you unique. And this is one of the things, obviously, that I talk a lot about in Momentum, because I think it's very powerful when it comes to marketing your business, to understand first your vision, then understand who you are, what makes you special. I just did an interview with Dina Holland of Honey and Fits, and she talked about this, how she did an Instagram poll. This is a really great idea. She did an Instagram poll and asked her followers, like, what do you see as my design aesthetic? Like, what are the things how would you describe my design aesthetic? And people were like, oh, color, use a lot of pattern, color. And she was hearing this back and she's like, oh, never really thought about it, which to me is bananas because obviously she's all about color. But she said she took all those answers and really reflected and then was able to say, hey, yeah, I need to start putting more of that out there. And she curated her feed to be reflective of that one design aesthetic. So design aesthetic is just kind of one thing. It could also be sense of humor. It could be the fact that you go to your cottage and you spend all your time at your cottage, talk about your cottage. Whatever it is that you do in your life that you think people are not interested in and it's not related to design, chances are those are the things that will attract clients to you. Because just design is not enough. It might be enough, but I can tell you that having a personal connection with someone, especially when you can't meet them in person, so they get to know who you and your personality, or they're not a direct referral, because let's face it, everybody wants referrals. We don't all always get referrals from friends that are really the right projects, or not necessarily friends, but past clients. By putting yourself out there, you can kind of create this niche where, as Dina says, she says, people come to my Instagram and they can watch my stories. And if my sense of humor and if my nature is too much for them, then they're not my client. So in a way, you're doing a reverse of, instead of going out looking for a specific type of client and hoping they're the ones that want to hire you, you put it all out there in the sense of, here's what we're all about. Maybe it's your process. Maybe you have like a button down, ironclad process and you talk about it all the time. And you're like, oh, now we're moving into this phase. And here we are meeting with the client, and you share what it is behind the scenes so that people understand what it will be like to work with you. Just like Jenna Kutcher showing, behind the scenes of a wedding and talking about how she likes to meet her bride. And, I don't know what she says, but I'm imagining she would say something like, oh, like I met a bride like before, and we'd have like 2 meetings. And then when I don't know, blah, 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 talk about her process, talk about how she takes care of her client so that the future potential client can see. I feel like I'm rambling. Do you know what I'm saying, though? Does it make sense? I imagine somebody listening is probably thinking, well, you know what? I see other professional design firms, like big firms, and they don't share personality or anything, and they are just fine. And what I will say to that is true. It's possible. You don't know how they started. You don't know. Maybe one of the company owners is a TV personality. Maybe they go on morning shows. Maybe they started their business before social media existed. There are so many factors, and I think that we are all so quick to judge and look how someone else is doing it and assume we know everything behind the scenes. The reality is we do not. We are all freaking hustling, learning, and working our way through. I can tell you there is power in working with the clients that fill you up. There is power in finding your niche in this world, in this industry, in your industry. There's so much power in working with the clients that trust your vision, value the cost of things, don't question your invoices, are happy and fun to work with. That doesn't happen if you don't try to get it. You might get lucky and get one client here, one client there, but you have to be, in my experience, super intentional with what you put out into the world. Because what you put out, you will attract. Like attracts like. Power of attraction is a real freaking thing. Because I get it all the time when I go to a consultation. People will say to me, oh my goodness, Rebecca, you're exactly how you are on Instagram. I feel like I know you. How was the cottage? And immediately there's an icebreaker, right? Or, yeah, I know your process sounds amazing. I already saw you talk about it. Or, I don't know, maybe you talk about the budget, or maybe you're educating clients in different ways about what you like to do or how you like to run your business. Maybe you use color. And so the person says, hey, I love how you use color. I really want this space to stand out and look different from the rest. Those are the little things. And I can't tell you what they are for you. Obviously, I'm spewing out a bunch of different ideas, some that relate to me, some that relate to other designers, but you need to find out what it is for you and what it is that you want to put out there, because there are a million things that make us all unique. I'm not saying put everything out into the universe. I'm saying be intentional about what you share and what you talk about. And just posting pretty pictures just isn't enough anymore. Instagram just made an announcement a while back earlier this year, saying that they are no longer a platform for photography. They are a video platform. Game changer. That's like a whole other topic that I will definitely go into in Momentum when I do the course, because I feel like there's so much changing in the industry, in the social media world, and what we need to do to get noticed. First of all, in person networking is always the best way to connect with a human, but we don't all have that. We're not all members of a fancy golf club. We are not all, especially now, even though the world is back up, not everyone is doing what they did before. So you need to find ways to stand out in the crowd. And so as much as I think it's important to understand who your ideal client is and where they're at, like if you work with professional lawyers, for example, yes, connect with that law firm. See if you can do a talk about paint colors. Maybe it's people are looking to renovate. Maybe you donate a consultation to a fundraiser. Yes, do all the things, but I can guarantee that in this world we live in, that person who wins a consultation or that person who sees you talking at an event is going to look you up on the World Wide Web. And they're going to want to know a little bit more about what you're about. Because pretty pictures are lovely, but we all have them. So finding a way to differentiate yourself and create a niche is a really powerful tool to getting more of the right business coming your way. Okay, that was my little nugget for today. I just wanted to pop in here and share it. It's been on my mind, especially as we come into the fall. It just always feels like a time for renewal. It always feels like a new year because like it's a new school year. And so it always feels to me like a great time to reevaluate and reassess, almost more so than January, to be completely honest. Because I'm also always evaluating, right? I'm looking back at my Instagram. I'm like, is this the direction I still want to go? Maybe, I want to go in a different direction. And maybe I'm not as interested in talking about color anymore. Maybe it's really about sustainability. Like, do I need to shift how we put ourselves out into the world? So I encourage you guys to do that, to take the time. And really, I challenge you to sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and write down what are your big five. What are the 5 things that if you ask somebody else, what are the 5 things that differentiate, or what are the 5 things that make me unique? What would they say? And are they the same things that you think make you unique? Because sometimes there's a disconnect, and it's important to understand what you're putting out there. Because what you may not even realize that you're talking all the time about your shoes, right? You just do it so naturally because you love shoes and designer shoes. Thing. And when you put together your top 5, you might not even include shoes in it. But then when you ask your followers, your friends, your family might say, oh, obviously you're like obsessed with shoes. So it'd be really great exercise to do. Good luck. Let me know if you do this exercise, if it's helpful. Let me know what your top 5 are. I would love that. Just send me a DM or send us a message in the Designer Meetup Facebook group. That's linked in our show notes. Usually the episode, if you want to join it, it's only for industry professionals, though. It is a private group. So you'll only be admitted if you answer the questions. Just say, lots of people try to get in, but you're not allowed in if you aren't a design profesh. That's it, guys. Stay tuned for Momentum coming your way soon. And hopefully you guys will get a chance to partake in the course and take everything to the next level. All right. I'll see you guys soon.